Canadian actors, up close, personal.
Welcome as well to the Winchester Kitchen and Bar in this very, very historic building in Old Cabbage Town.
I hear Al Capone actually used to frequent this very place. When it was a hotel, of course.
Interesting.
Yeah, when he was here on business.
Well, our business here tonight is going to be a little different than Al Capone's.
Yes.
We are here tonight to give you guys the inside scoop on what it means to be a Canadian actor, which is something that we've been discussing and comparing notes on.
And our vow to you tonight is that we are going to be as painfully honest as possible, which is kind of terrifying.
We kind of feel a little vulnerable.
Yeah. But I mean, that's what you're here for, right? I mean, you want to hear all the inside scoop, right? You're not here for safe stories, so fine. We accept the challenge.
Right. At any point during the show, please feel free to grab a drink from the bar to help ease yourself into a state of comfort.
I'm sure babyface Capone would have done the same thing.
I'm sure you would.
Okay, now that I've done enough of that. Oh, and also, you know what? Thank you so much for coming out tonight. And we're getting 25 centimeters of snow, so bravo to you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, so we're going to start by introducing ourselves. Oh, we have our mic. You did?
I am going to go over here and...
Mic's working.
Hello.
Okay, well, I'll start by introducing myself while we deal with some technical difficulties there. My name is Tim Walker. I'm from Peterborough, Ontario. I am a left-handed Scorpio. I have a cat named Jaspart, and he lives on the very same block as this building. I live in Cabbage Town. I've lived here for about a year and a half. I lived in Toronto for about 10 years, off and on. I studied at Second City. I studied at the George Brown Theatre School, trained classically there. I also studied overseas in Italy. I studied Commedia dell'arte. I wonder how many more times I can say study. Study. Yeah, if I wanted to. What else am I going to tell you? I'm a huge St. Louis Blues fan. I'm really glad hockey's back on, and I believe that there should be more public funding into the arts. Okay, there. Yeah. Okay.
So, my mic isn't working yet.
Oh.
But, I will speak loudly. My name is Stephanie Seaton, and I am a right-handed Sagittarius.
Ah.
I am an extroverted introvert who is bilingual. Boring. I have danced my whole life. I did train in classical ballet for probably my entire life, so I have a lot of on-stage experience where I was really accustomed to being on a stage. But my very first high school play, I played a prostitute, and my first line was, "They say I'm a whore." But they don't mention the fact. Oh!
That's like the song you made.
Microphone?
Your microphone.
There you go. Yeah. Thank you. So yes, they say I'm a whore.
Good timing.
But they don't mention the fact that it's the men who settle up to me to sleep with me.
Whoa.
I know. Heavy stuff. I was 14. Hi, Mom. And I think that's all I'll say for now. Oh, I'm a graduate of a musical theater program. I graduated from the Randolph Academy for Performing Arts in 2008, and I was the recipient of the Triple Threat Award in my graduating class.
Okay.
Thank you. And thank you for it.
Okay, so now we're properly introduced. So we're going to turn now to our little magical mystery vase. Vase. Actually,
Urn.
I think it's a samovar. It's a samovar. So we're going to turn to our magical mystery samovar. And inside here we have over 100 tiny little scrolls glued and sealed, and these have questions on them.
We are going to randomly select 10 of these from the Sexy Samovar Secrets.
Yes, that one's unsealed.
To ask each other, and I promise you, we do not know what they are, so our answers will be completely off the cuff. We've never seen these questions before. You are getting a brutally honest, improvised answer.
And that is the absolute truth. Whether you believe it or not, it is true.
Oh.
So also, to add a little spicy pressure on ourselves, we have this handy-dandy little timer. This is set at 1 minute. So we get 1 minute to answer these questions, and when it beeps, we have to shut
Yes, we have to stop talking. But if you guys want to hear the rest of the story, if it was interesting enough, you just have to say continue. And if we hear 3 continues, then we will do just that.
Yes. But don't worry, you don't have to say continue if you don't want to say continue. You're not going to hurt our feelings. We're actors, we have thick skins, or thin skins, depending on the actor, depending on the skin.
After we do that,
Yes.
we will open the floor to you guys. So if you have any questions, whether they are spurred from something you hear here or totally not relevant, something you want to know, we will be here to answer.
Try to keep it business, try to keep it industry related.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. Boom.
Okay.
Here we go.
On
Question number 1.
first.
Yes. Okay. What are your strengths as an actor?
Okay. Simon.
I started. She.
Ah,
Okay, you better hurry up. You're wasting
okay.
time.
Strengths as an actor?
Yes.
I am very emotionally available. I am a great ensemble member. I am a triple threat.
What do you mean you're a great ensemble member?
Great ensemble member. So, especially in collectively created pieces or pieces where you play a lot of different characters, I think, and I've been told by people I've worked with that I'm a good team player, and that I can be those many different characters, and it's not all about me and my role, and watch me be the lead, which is not bad, but I just have heard that I have strengths. Being part of like one cohesive machine of a lot of different people doing a lot of different things. And those are my favorite plays, I think.
Yeah.
Well, say it for the people.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
All right.
Question number 2.
Nervous. I'm nervous.
Okay.
I'm not nervous at all, actually. I'm really excited.
Number 2.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. Are older and experienced actors necessarily better?
No, not necessarily. I don't think no, not necessarily. They can be. It's possible. I've had experiences both ways. I've had experiences with older actors that they rely a little more heavily on their castmates because they might not be moving at the same speed in terms of the rehearsal process, picking things up, processing notes, synthesizing that into something that's compelling and watchable. Then you have other people that are like complete pros, and they will be until the day that they die. They are just sharp. And I worked with a woman, I can't even remember her name now, but I did a show at Fourth Line Theater in 2000 and
Fourth Line.
I guess it would be 2010 or 2009, and she must have been in her late 80s, and she was sharper than me. By far. So, it depends. It just depends. And I also did I worked on something this time.
Good job.
Continue. Okay. All right. Geez, I really milked that. Maybe I'll just go really slow. Okay. Well, I don't know if there's that much more to say except for that. I worked with a gentleman this summer that is an older actor as well, and I would say that I think struggled to keep up with the other people in the room that were kind of sharper and kind of going, And he did his job, but yeah.
I worked with a wonderful woman named Barbara, and when I worked with her, probably 4 or 5 years ago, she was 84.
Yeah.
And she was one of the founding members of one of the very first companies in Ontario, one of the first rep companies in Ontario. So she was like around when it started, and she was sharp, but she couldn't move as fast as everybody else.
Right.
But it wasn't her fault, and she had some issues with memorization just because she was 84,
Yeah.
And I know that it frustrated her more than anybody because we were all like, "You're 84, it's fine."
Yeah.
You were around when theater started in Ontario, like.
We can only wish to be working at 84. Oh God. Oh wait a minute. There's no question on that one. I thought I was showing it to you. Okay. Question number 3. Do you sleep enough? I waited until I asked the question.
I appreciate that. These days, I do. Sometimes I don't. It's hard when you don't have something to get up for, like a show or rehearsal. I find it hard to get up sometimes. On the other hand, wow, there was a time in my life where I wasn't sleeping enough. That's not the question, but
I would like. Why don't you tell them about that though? I think that's
You know, yeah, I told you about it.
Continue and continue.
Thank you, that's
Yeah.
easy. Well, okay, so briefly, there was this time in my life where I was working way too many jobs at once, and I just got a theater contract, but it was a full-time paid theater contract, but I was so afraid of it being over that I didn't quit any of my other 4 jobs. So I went to the theater like 9 to 6, and then I went to the restaurant 7 to 4, and I did that Monday to Thursday, and then Friday night I worked at the restaurant until 5:30 in the morning. Anyway.
No, continue.
Thank you. Went till 5:30 in the morning. Saturday morning I got up to teach dance at 9:30. I taught dance from 9:30 to 12:30, then I went to work my retail job from 1 to 5, and then I went to the restaurant from 6, probably till 6 in the morning because it's Saturday night, and then I got up and went to my retail job from 11 to 5. And like, it just sounds like a lie, but I was actually doing this, and I was losing my mind.
She's sleeping how much? 3 hours a night? 3 hours a night?
3 hours a night, and then maybe catching like a nap, and if we got cut from rehearsal early, I would go home and sleep because I knew I had to work at the restaurant. And I don't know why I thought this was appropriate.
You were like,
or possible.
Yeah.
But I think the adrenaline kicked in, right?
Yeah.
The adrenaline kicked in, and I thought I was invincible.
Yeah.
And I there was like a high off it for the first month and a half, and then I started like hallucinating.
How old were you?
Good question.
Yes. I was 22, maybe? 22. Yeah. Like young enough, but old enough. But I guess, old enough to be on my own and have enough pride that got in the way. And be like, I'm gonna do it. And I did not. Anyway, thanks guys. Where are we now?
Yeah. Question 3.
Question 3?
I think it's 4.
4. That's right.
Thank you.
Who said that? Who said that?
Somebody's paying
Yeah, you're right.
attention.
Thank you.
Where's all the money?
In my bank account, yo! Rolling. Fat stacks. Where's all the money? I guess in commercials, yeah, I guess that's true. In commercials, in TV, film. It's certainly not in theater. In fact, I was just today having this huge conundrum. We were just talking about this. That I just came from a play reading today. A friend of mine wrote a script. She wrote this part with me in mind, and she wants to do it in March. And I just came off doing 2 plays, and I don't even have my rent figured out for 2 weeks from now. And I want to do this show so bad, but I don't know how it's possible because I'm absolutely broke, and I don't see how that works. So it's not in theater. That's for sure. I don't know, private funding, patrons for the arts, rich friends. I don't know. I'm not really sure where the money is, but I would say like for actors that make that make a living doing it, they probably do it through television or film. That's yeah. Unless you're like 2%, like Nancy Polk and Ziegler. I'm sure they do okay doing theater. I'm sure. I think anyway. Maybe they don't.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
Question
right,
5.
question number 5.
Where did you get your start as an actor?
In high school, I guess? Is that what you mean by start? Like,
I think
where
so.
I caught the bug?
Yeah.
In high school, I went to audition for the drama club with my friend Denise because she wanted to be in it and I did not want to be in it, and then I got in and she didn't. Kind of typical, like really typical.
That's very not to know.
It's and my friend David Seymour was a year older than I was, and he just started casting me in all sorts of things. And we were a math school, so I got to be in all the plays because nobody else wanted to.
What do you mean a math school?
It was a math school, like a school that was good at math and known for its math program.
Really?
I am not that good at math. Because I was in the drama club. A math school.
I've heard of a tech school.
But it meant that like I got to direct plays.
Right.
Because they were really like,
Right.
do what
Yeah.
you want. We don't care. Go over there. You can be eccentric together.
Oh.
Okay. Question number 6. Number 6.
Yes.
Some people say actors lead wild lives. tell us what your wildest industry moment.
Good words. Okay. Yeah, don't forget that word. Wildest industry moment.
You have to.
Okay, I did a okay. Well, here's one. I did a show 2 years ago, and I knew the playwright of the piece, and I had some problems with one of the fellas in the show, and we were just kind of extras in the show or whatever. But at this party, this is horrible, and I didn't know she was gonna do this. But we had some drinks, and I had told her that I had kind of a problem with this dude, and she got really drunk, and she was like, "Where is he?" He's over there. She's like, "I'll be right back." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And she went over, and then she comes back with this kind of like, "That's taken care of." And I thought, "What the fuck are you talking about? That's taken care of." So I guess she went up to him and was like, "I'm Tim's friend, and I wrote this play, and you better watch it if you want to." Like, I think she. Okay. So I think she gave him the ears basically and was like, "I know Tim and I'm important, so you better not fuck with him." And so the thing is that this guy and I, we had a falling out, and there's a reason for that, and it's fine. Like, we don't have to be friends, but I really, really, really want him to know, and I don't know how to tell him that I did not ask her to do that because it's very embarrassing. So anyway, I still talk to this guy, and I've seen about this. I've talked to him. I've seen him. But we haven't ever touched on this thing where this kind of awkward thing happened, where I think he probably thinks that I
told her to
designed that.
Uh-oh.
I don't know. That's not very wild. I don't know. Do you have one? Like a wild industry moment? I don't know how to answer that. Come on.
I don't
help me out here.
know.
Give me a wild one.
Well, okay, so this is not really my wild industry moment, but I was part of it.
Okay.
I was doing Romeo and Juliet, and I was Juliet, and I was coming in, like, I was the only cast member who had not done the show before.
Yeah.
And the director decided that it would be really fun if I would only meet the guy playing Romeo in the scene where Juliet meets Romeo.
For the first time?
Yep.
You rehearsed them?
Nope. So it wasn't for the show, it wasn't for the show, it was for the dress rehearsal.
Okay.
But like, so I met with the director and I did all the scenes with everybody else except for the scenes with Romeo, and then we piled into this like basement rehearsal room for our first full run through of the play. And like every time I came off stage, they locked me in the bathroom, and then they would open the other bathroom, and Romeo would come out and do his scenes. But I have to say, it was amazing.
Really?
Because, well, also like I had heard about this man before, and I heard lots of stories. So I kind of knew. I heard about him before, and so I knew information about him.
Yeah.
Some of it was favorable, some of it was not favorable. And so, you know, like, we're wearing masks, and we're doing the whole ball scene, and we're like peeking, and blah, 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 and then I turn around, and he removes his mask, and it was just like, information, like, overload at my face.
Cool.
So it's not really wild, but it was kind of wild. In terms of my
you left out the part where you
feeling.
were drunk the whole time.
I wasn't drunk.
There we go.
Yeah, like, from an acting standpoint, it was really interesting to remember that not only do you not know how the other person's going to react,
Right.
but you don't know how they're going to react to your reactions.
But
that's
that's true. I'm trying to unravel that in the moment.
It seems like, I just think that's something that you take for granted.
Yeah. That's true. No, that's true.
Sorry, long-winded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Continue.
No, I wish.
Like as a, I don't know, like as a woman, like working in the industry, you haven't had any.
As a woman.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's an interesting slant.
Yeah.
Like I'm an actor, and like I'm not like wild and crazy or anything, but I had a pretty crazy.
Well, let's hear your wild.
Yeah.
Sounds like you got something better than they do.
Sorry, I think it kind of tops me.
No.
Even though that was pretty good. was when I was 19. I was in university, and I met this director. He gave me his number, and he told me to call him, and so we met in his cafe, and I was like sitting there, and so when he sat down, the first thing he said was, "How many guys have you fucked?" And I answered, and then he asked me other questions like, "How much pussy hair do you have?" And I tried to answer that, and then he like, it gets kind of crazier actually. So then he asked me if I wanted to go to the park and walk back to campus.
Which you did not.
No, I did because I was like really curious. Because yeah, so then he told me like he wanted to put me in the movie that he was making, and he wanted to like write a whole script for me. And then he said that if I wanted to have like a special relationship with him, the next time we met up, that I could just do this thing, which was like I sat on a bench and he kneeled in front of me, and I put my knee in his crotch while he had an orgasm. Or I'm not like totally sure if he had an orgasm, but he was talking about it a lot before, and I don't know, he kind of implied, but I only had to like look in his eyes, so like I didn't like have to do anything or whatever. But the cool part is actually that I just made a movie about it. Yeah, so I'm really no.
It's like you turn this into something.
Yeah, I wrote it and I acted in it, produced it, and yeah, I'm really proud of it, and I feel like I want people to know that like this does happen actually.
No kidding.
Yeah, so I'm trying to get into festivals, but it like hasn't gotten in anywhere so far. But it's on the internet, and I've been like sending it around to people because I really want people to see it. Still hoping that like I don't know, there's like one festival that hasn't responded, and I'm still hoping to get in. But yeah, so it's on the internet, and there's a password because it's not public yet, because hopefully it'll still be a world premiere somewhere. But if anyone wants to see it,
Yeah, for sure.
I'm like really happy to send the link and the password. So yeah, you.
Okay.
I don't know if anyone wants to email
Thank
me.
you for sharing that.
You can email me, and I'm really would love to send it around. My email is just my last name, which is Calderon.
Why don't we afterwards? Why don't we come up and ask you for if people that want to see it, come up and ask. Just you don't have to give your email out to a whole room of people.
I don't mind really.
I think maybe we'll just save it till the end.
Yeah.
I mean, I would like to see that, but I'll just get that information from you personally.
Thanks.
That is a wild story. Thank you.
Yeah, reminds you that some stuff is super creepy, and some people are creeps, no matter what the industry is. Okay.
Okay.
Is this my turn?
Introduce after me.
Okay.
Number 7.
Yes.
7?
Is that right? Yeah.
We lost track, guys.
Yeah.
You're letting us down.
Okay. What's your favorite story to tell as an actor?
Okay, I used to love to tell this story. I used to love to tell the story of when I discovered I was funny.
Yeah. Okay.
That sounds so conceited. But I didn't think I was funny ever. Like, you're in improv class and you're like, I'm not funny. People don't laugh at the stuff that I do, I'm not funny. And then we were forced to take improv in theater school, because that's what happens. And I hated it, and it made me feel nauseous every day. And then one day we did an exercise. It was an exercise in learning high and low status, which is like something when you're developing character that you can take into consideration. And the premise was you're auditioning for American Idol. So you had to come in and audition for American Idol. And I kind of went overboard and created this character who was like an animal activist and shopped at Value Village and continue. Thanks. And was trying to pick, and I had like a cat carrier as though I had just come from the Humane Society, having picked up a cat on my way to my American Idol audition.
Yeah.
and I was gonna sing like Smelly Cat from Friends and stop thinking but at the last minute I was like, no, that is too on the nose because there's a cat in here. And so I went in and like, I don't know, somebody else took over my body and I like threw myself on the ground and sang, nothing getting you. And I sang the whole opening number of the Lion King.
That's amazing.
And it's the first time that anybody ever laughed at something.
And evidently not the last time.
So maybe that's my favorite story to tell.
That's a good story.
It's a story you haven't heard either.
I haven't heard that story, no.
Okay. Number 8. Number 8. Who makes you really uncomfortable?
Well, actually, Joe Ziegler makes me really uncomfortable. He, but in a kind of a great way. He, oh boy. Oh, I'm sorry. Joe Ziegler is an actor that works for Soul Pepper, and if you've ever seen the Christmas Carol they do every year, he plays Ebenezer Scrooge. And he was one of my teachers in theater school, and I think I had a fairly easy go of it in theater school. Not because it was easy. I mean, I worked really hard, but I got very positive feedback from the teachers. And he directed me in something, and he wrote this really weird thing. It's like with the sound of one hand clapping on my report card, and the thing was, acting is a lot harder than you think, and it's a lot easier than you think. And I hadn't really met much, not opposition, but much challenge from the faculty at the time. Thank you.
So nice.
Yeah, really nice. And like that still to this day, it doesn't haunt me. It's something I refer back to when I think maybe I have it all figured out or whatever, you know, or when I don't think I have it all figured out. It's one of those things to remind myself, to refresh my mind, you know, that it's a fucking conundrum. What we do is not an easy thing, and you never have it right or wrong. You just, you know. But he also, but I also, the weirdest thing is that I have a huge professional crush on him. I have a huge respect for his work. I love his work. And I love the way he directs, too. This is one thing I got to do with him. It blew my mind, his process of being in the room with him. And I'm in love with him as a, you know, professionally. But every time he comes to see one of my shows, because him and his wife come and see some of the shows I do, and every time I know he's in the audience, I have the worst show. Worst show of my run. Every time. It's like clockwork. And it's like there's this part of me that's like, maybe in a weird way I continue to have bad shows in front of him so that I don't get too cocky or I don't feel too, you know, but I don't know what it is. But yeah, no, he scares the shit out of me, and I hope I get to work with him again. Okay, question number.
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah. Fear in a good way. It's like fear of skydiving, you know. It's like it's exhilarating though. Kind of excites me, but scares the shit out of me at the same time. Okay. Question number 9. All right, easy one. Well, easy to say, might be hard to answer. Do you have a mentor?
No. Unfortunately, I guess that's a tough, like, you know, there's a sub-question of like, what is a mentor? But in terms of how I understand it, I think I missed kind of my opportunity, you know, whether you're in school and there are these great inspiring people who are around you who maybe are your teachers or who are just your peers but older, and I think I was too stubborn to approach them and just ask. Like I was just too scared to ask, and I was convinced that I was going to figure it out on my own, and I didn't want anybody holding my hand, and I didn't want to be one of those actors who needed their hand to be held, and I resented it. And so, in doing so, I think I pushed away a lot of people who maybe could have been mentors to me. I should have just asked, right? Like, why not?
It's not that you could now.
You're right, you know, I could now, I guess.
I don't think anyone's past having it.
No.
Sorry.
Continue.
Yeah.
Continue. No, you're right, I could ask now. But I guess it's difficult now because some of those mentor people are maybe my peers, and it gets into this like weird territory where I don't know. And I suppose sometimes I'm afraid of admitting how little I think I know about this industry.
Yeah.
So it's still like a pride thing. I have to just stop being stubborn, and I just have to approach those people. You know, I can think of a couple people where I'm like, you know what? I could just be like, hey, why don't you, like, sometimes we'll meet
Go
for
for coffee.
coffee,
Yeah.
and
It doesn't. It could be. It could be
it could
tea.
be really
it
casual.
could be juice. It could be.
Thank you.
Sorry. Yeah.
Thank you. Number 10.
Pop.
The last
It could
one.
be like
Pop.
sparkling water.
Bubble tea.
Yeah.
I could go for bubble tea with my mentor.
Yeah.
Bubble tea is great.
It's gross.
Okay.
It's gross.
Do you have any insecurities about your body?
Yeah. Yeah, of course I do.
What a question. What a question.
Yeah, I definitely, it's been, I think for me, like, this is gonna sound weird saying this out loud, because I don't think I've ever said this out loud, but, like, when I was younger, I was used to being, like, not like a heartthrob or anything, but, like, being attractive, like, just, like, knowing that girls thought I was attractive.
They totally did.
Right? That's coming from a girl whose sister I dated in high school. But, you know, and then when I lost my hair, I think, or when that kind of started to happen for me, it was a real transitionary thing where I had, like, that idea of holding on to being, like, a sexually attractive man, or, like, owning your manhood and that, and, you know, I mean, something where you're dealing with rejection every day, and people are looking at your physicality and casting you a lot of times on just how you fucking look. And so, for me, that's been a transition. I still think I am dealing with it, but I'm very comfortable with myself. I'd like to be in better shape, sure, maybe be more ripped. But, yeah, definitely.
Cool.
Okay, so, thank God, that is the end of our scripted questions. God, those were tough ones today. You guys are very gracious, though. So we're going to put the timer away.
And now we're going to open up the floor to you guys.
Yes.
So it's up to you. Anything you want to know about us in the industry? Yes, go ahead, there's a hand raised.
You made a funny comment, like, you guys are so nice tonight.
Yeah.
And it was funny because you said it like we're the audience, like we're the same people who are here every night. Did you know?
Yeah,
We're just being nice to you.
Aren't you? I can't.
That's true.
It's true.
That's funny.
So,
well, I guess, yeah, because
But you know,
no, sorry.
but
please.
yes.
I didn't ask my question yet.
Yeah.
Can you just talk about like your relation, or say whatever you want about that, and just like talk about your relationship to the audience, how it changes show to show, how you like what is your sort of inner image or imagination of the audience?
I love this question.
Then go ahead and answer.
Well, I'm not going to answer it, but I will give you my 2 cents, and then you know.
No,
but
go ahead.
I think it's a really, really good point and a really good question. And a lot of actors, you know, when you're doing a show with someone, you come off stage, it's like you're doing a comedy, right? You're doing like a vaudeville piece. But usually people are laughing, right? So you come off stage, you're like, what's going on up there? And you say, I don't know, it's a listening audience to me, right? You have to paint, in a way, there is a relationship there, right? And the show doesn't happen without both of you being there, and without having that discourse or that communion, right? And I think you know, the audience in a sense gets to be another character, but that character that night, whatever it is, there's a certain energy, and people kind of look into each other. You're right beside each other. Why wouldn't you, right? That's on a total subconscious level, but there is a personality or a color or a whatever you want to call it that audiences start to embody, depending on the show, what has happened, you know, or your energy. They're responding, of course, to what's, you know, it's a kind of a.
And does your performance change based on the audience?
It certainly can. Yeah, of course, yeah. It's like, it's a lot different than when you pay your $12 to go see the Silver Linings Playbook. You can go back the next night and you can see the exact same movie, which is great. But it's what we do on stage, and other people that perform in theater and, you know, on music, get that idea that I might be doing 12th night tonight, and I might do it again tomorrow night, but it could be a very different show, you know, depending on what happens. I totally stole my gift you now, please.
No, I mean, that was a really good answer. The only thing I would add is I'm not a huge fan of audience interaction. It makes me really nervous, which I think is why I made this comment of like, so I have, you know, the audience, because in a sense, you're safer if I can lump you all into one thing.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is. It's exhilarating, but I find it uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Uncomfortable.
I also gave you the PG version of like, it's a listening audience. I've been at tons of shows too where you get off stage, you go, what's wrong? And they go, I'm a bunch of fucking idiots out there. Fucking morons. Okay, let's just do it. But still, but there is a thing because you have to take the pressure off yourself, right? Because if you go, well, it's because we're fucking up tonight. You can't do that.
Because then you're just
you can do the next scene. So it's their fault.
Right.
Then you just keep doing what you're doing.
But I don't love that energy either because, you know, it's not the audience's job to like your show.
No.
And it's not their job to clap and it's not their job to laugh.
No.
By showing up, they've already done their job.
Absolutely.
And then we create a relationship between you guys and us.
Yeah.
And so I don't love I understand where it comes from, but I don't love the audience blaming of like, they just don't get it or like whatever is happening, you know?
I get that for sure, but you're on the boat that you're on is the boat with the cat. Like you're on you're on the same sea.
I am.
But you're in a separate boat. And sometimes you just have to band together in your boat and be like, okay, ain't no flies on us, all right? So let's fucking do this thing.
Yeah.
Put our heads down and row, you know? It depends, yeah.
I like that
Metaphors.
metaphor. Thank you for your question.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just following from that, do you guys have a hard time with the fact that if you have a better show one night, some audience might like have seen a better show or something, and then like as you said it, you know, right? As I know too, like it changes. I don't know.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know what you mean though. Like if you know that people come back to see it again.
No, just like you said, like with a movie, everyone's seeing the same thing.
Right.
But with a play, it's different. So I don't know. How do you deal with that some audiences are seeing something that might be better?
Yeah.
I think that's why. You know, and of course I never want somebody to see my shitty show. But if somebody sees the night where like I forgot a costume piece and entered at the wrong time and we skipped this whole part but we had to save it, they saw something that will probably never happen again and it was totally unique. It maybe wasn't the best show, but as an experience it was a one-off. So that's how I make myself feel better about that.
Coincidentally, that's the name of my one-man show, See My Shitty Show. Hasn't gone over so well.
In the back.
Yeah.
Over here.
Yes.
Yeah.
How do you stay happy? How do you stay committed to your choice as artists when you're faced with people that you grew up with having regular jobs, regular lives, you know, getting all the ingredients to what's the quote-unquote successful life? How do you stay committed to your choice? How do you stay happy? How do you stay sane?
Great question.
That is a really good question.
You have to define success by your own terms. I think that's, for me, that's the nutshell. Like that's the thing that I keep within myself, you know, and how I define success is vastly different from the way the world by and large does, and incredibly different than Toronto has a certain kind of personality, and it's the skyline. When you look at the skyline, you see big banks, and I think every city is defined a little bit by what you see on the skyline, and I think Toronto is particularly bent on commercial success, and that's what's made it such a big city, such a successful city. But I think it's also kind of the hub for English-speaking theater actors, and there is a conflict, a spiritual conflict there, and it makes it even tougher, I think, in times for people that work in the arts to live in this city. But you can do it, and there is a huge support system, you know, and you have to define that yourself, you know.
I think the biggest mistake that I ever made was to judge my failures by other people's successes. And I think it's really easy to do that.
Your ego wants you to do that.
Yeah, your ego wants you to do that. I don't know how to answer that because I think it's a daily battle. And some days are better than other days. And I try to surround myself with people who are positive, regardless of their situation. And I did a contract last summer where I met a group of artists who were happy. They were happy, and they were married, and some of them were like about to have great.
You were doing your contract, Oz.
But it was beautiful because I was like, you know, I didn't think that these things were possible
Yeah.
for me until I met you guys. And you're doing it. So it must be possible. So that's me.
That's okay.
Who were they? Where were they?
Driftwood Theater. Driftwood Theater Company. Jeremy Smith is a wonderful, open, warm, and inviting person. And I think we just have a really, really good cast too. A good mix of driven young up and comers and seasoned veterans and people who own their own houses. And who are actors,
Sounds
who
like an
are
asshole.
actors who own houses. It was just amazing.
So I see, yeah.
How do you deal with the sort of expectation, at every level of your career as someone who performs, you have sort of fans, and whether it's your immediate family or 20 friends or maybe a few thousand people, when you're not Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, you don't have people to kind of give you a buffer zone. How do you deal with this sort of, even on a low level, constant background noise of people having expectations that you need to fulfill, or do you feel that at all?
That's a good question. I don't feel a need to fulfill anyone's expectations at this point in my career, but I certainly would say that I do feel the love. The other day I auditioned for Stratford, and I woke up at 5 in the morning and could not stop thinking about it. And then I put it up as my Facebook status, and auditioned for Stratford today. Don't know why I did that. I think I just needed to expunge it. But over 100 people responded with just good luck, we believe in you, you're fucking awesome, they'd be lucky to have you, stuff like that. And for me, that is just I don't know. It's amazing, and I really embrace it. It doesn't make me feel like I owe anyone anything, but I do feel really fortunate to have, people that I know believe in me.
That's a really good answer. We'll leave it at that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes? If we don't see you, just wave harder. Hi, yes.
I'm hoping this isn't a question that doesn't derail the whole night, but this is the one that always comes up when I'm around other artists. It's, what the hell is wrong with the Canadian industry?
Yeah. Well, can I start on that?
Of course.
We are the redheaded stepchild of a mammoth, Gibraltar of an industry. America is where it's at. It's the home of the best and the worst, and there's the most money there. And you have a very deep talent pool and a lot of money, and also a very shallow talent pool, whatever. But I think it's significantly harder for Canadians to try to because the thing is, you need a cultural identity. I think in order to tell your own stories, and that's where we fall a bit short, because when we're so close to the States, I think it's easier for Britain, even for Quebec, which is part of Canada, but it's by and large its own industry, and they do very well.
Okay, if you weren't going to blame it on the States, what's wrong with the industry?
That I wouldn't answer the question.
Yeah, I think it's difficult to identify what is the Canadian identity, and therefore what is Canadian work. And I get the impression that as much as people want to support Canadian work, they don't really know what that is, and they are afraid of taking risks on it. And I think you can see that with television, Canadian television. I often find, in my opinion, is a very diluted, safe version of anything creative that could have happened.
Yep.
And
Other than the beachcombers, yeah.
But I guess I would say that on a small level that I face every day, or writing grants, when you're trying to pitch your project and you're trying to create stuff, it's they're we want Canadian work. I'm well, I'm Canadian. So,
Yeah.
And I think that's a big problem though, people will put on plays in Canada with Canadian money, in Canadian theaters, with Canadian actors, but the playwright is not Canadian, or the play doesn't take place in Canada, and so therefore it's not Canadian work.
And there's no canoe in it.
There's no canoe, and there's no kitchen, and there's no monologue of like, when I first arrived, it was snowing, Jimmy, and I was so scared.
I'm Jimmy. Yeah.
Stephanie, I have a question for you. Do you think that you could become, like, my mentor?
Just ask, I would be your mentor.
Like my acting mentor.
Yeah, no, thank you, first of all. Wow.
God.
No, like, thank you.
Like, you were just saying before, right? Like, how you thought it would be really valuable to have a mentor, and like how you should have just asked the person you thought would be good. So
Yeah.
So Stephanie, I think you'd be a great mentor. Like, I don't know. Part of it really is just that I need more
I
focus and
would
discipline.
love to point you to resources
know?
that were really helpful to
Yeah,
me
but I
starting
think
out.
that's something that a mentor provides, right? Like, we all have our distractions. Like, okay, maybe mine is sometimes watching Jersey Shore, but it's like watching a train wreck, right? And like everybody knows the reality shows are nothing even close to reality, so it's kind of like research since they're basically actors without the title, but it's a bit like cracked, you know what I mean? Okay, not that I've ever tried crack, but like sometimes I just can't stop watching it. You know?
Yeah.
Anyway, so will you be my mentor?
Why don't we talk about this after
Yeah.
the show?
Yeah, when you get freaking done. for the-
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I guess that's no.
Okay. I'm really sorry. I'm not trying to shoot you down in front of everybody.
Step.
I'm not. I just think that's a bigger.
Excuse me?
Sorry, did you have your hand up? Yeah.
I know that one of the sort of places in the world in which things are happening at sort of a lower budget, easier to maneuver level, something that's a little more nimble, is sort of web series and things like that.
Yes.
And I know that Canada is one of the countries in the world that seems to be moving forward. There's actual funding out there for web series. In your sort of experience in the industry right now, would you say that is giving a space for Canadian works and Canadian actors? Do you feel like it's having an impact on the scene and making it more diverse, or giving more paid opportunities, or even just more opportunities for good exposure? Do you feel like that's a good development? Is there something positive happening there?
Justin Bieber.
Yes.
Right?
Well, yeah. Okay. Yes.
No, but I mean, like in a nutshell, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, like that guy's a fucking worldwide phenomenon now. And it was because of a YouTube, something he posted on YouTube, you know? I think that's, I've definitely done several things that are, you know, available online, fun stuff. It gives you a chance to kind of stretch your muscles and try out something new, especially as a theater actor and being non-actra, to get together with someone and try a different medium and know that you could easily get anywhere from 0 to, you know, millions of people checking it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a great new way to find exposure. You just have to kind of get your finger on the pulse.
And the open forum for creation as well, right? Like, anybody can create anything.
Yeah.
In any amount of time,
Yeah.
and put it up there. And sometimes you probably wish they spent a little more time on it.
Okay, look, I'm sorry. This is just really frustrating, okay? Like, I have a hell of a lot of training under my belt, okay? I have tons of experience in film and TV and theater, but I've hardly gotten cast here, okay? I've probably done 1,000 auditions, and I can't tell you the amount of times I've been rejected. Do you know what that does to your confidence? Okay, and then I look at you and all the other people who are landing roles right now, and I see self-absorbed people who always have a role in this or that, you know, money from this or that, and I think, why not me? You know, because like I'm not getting anything, except that I acted in my own film, right? Like the one about an actor who wants to be cast in a film so badly she'll basically do anything to get a role.
Yeah.
Maybe I should have fucked him.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Look, I know, okay, like there's people I'm like supposed to keep my mouth shut. No, I don't think so. Like why shouldn't my opinion like matter just as much as yours? Like you think you're so good that you can't mentor me.
No,
Like it was a simple question and you couldn't even give me an answer.
Hey,
This
it's
is
not
the-
that I think I'm so good at
Sorry.
all.
Did anyone else have any? I think somebody.
Oh, come on,
was
please.
there
Okay,
something?
like this was pretty boring before actually, and now it's just getting interesting. Like, who wants to hear all the boring details about being a Canadian actor anyway?
Me.
Yeah. Why would you come to this thing if you didn't?
Well, honestly, I wanted to see for myself, okay?
What?
Like, if it was that you were so much more of an actor than me, or just so much more of a Canadian.
What?
I saw the posting for this, okay? I submitted. Do you know what response I got? A one-line question. Are you an American? Like that was the quintessential thing about me, right? Like that trumped any training or experience I had. Do you know that there's this double-edged thing that happens when you're from the US? Like, some people, they almost worship it. Like, LA, you know, like it's the Mecca and you must be really in. But then there's also this attitude of like, you haven't paid your Canadian dues, you know, you're not part of this scene. Are you an American? I mean, what kind of response is that?
Okay. Hey.
What?
Look, I know that this must be a little awkward for you, but I
Okay,
just
okay,
seriously
please,
kind
okay,
of
please,
awkward
just
for
please don't
everybody
give me
else.
another one of your bullshit actor lines, okay? That's like one of the things that I hate about actors, they're the fakest people.
That you said that you were an actor. Oh.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I act, okay, but I'm not that kind of person, you know?
Yeah.
Like I'm not super loud and gregarious and a show-off. Plus, I'm actually smart and pretty intellectual, which is also not what most actors are like, I guess, because they only studied acting after all, right? Like, which is not very appealing in my opinion. Plus, they are so self-important and take themselves way too seriously. Do you want to know what else I hate?
I don't know.
How they're always
Yeah.
poor, okay? They're
No,
constantly
you-
obsessing about money. Like,
Done.
they're shallow, they're narrow-minded, they totally live in their own world. They're completely ignorant of other people and their problems. They, like, want to be part of this imaginary club.
Okay.
And they're a bunch of sluts.
I'm sure most of the people here
Sluts.
are actors, so you're just being
Yeah, well, they're sluts,
Sluts.
okay?
Sluts.
Alright. How we
Let's get back to the
Yeah.
somebody asked a question.
Let's open the floor back up to anyone else who might have a comment or a question. I'd be happy to, if I have to ask you guys something, I'll do it. So, seriously, but you know, I think, well, you know, going back to what you were saying earlier about America, you know, I guess what I would say to you is, can you name one? Can you name like one Canadian actor who's like a superstar here that never went to the States? Right? I guess that would be my big. Can you?
Well, I can tell you, I don't know, I can tell you why people go to the States. And I think it's a really sad thing that in this country we seem to kind of stop the buck with the government.
Yes.
And every time I see something that comes out of government funding, it seems compromised in some way. And despite the fact that the Americans are a big money machine, and I mean at the very least, they're forced to actually live with the consequences of their actions. If you fuck up a film in the States, you don't work in the country again.
Right.
If you fuck up in Canada, you get another grant.
Right.
So I do see a certain laziness that happens because you're paid up front in a way.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot more private investors too in the States, right? You have these film studios that, you know, it's what's his name? Terry Gilliam, a member of Monty Python. You know, like that guy, he's had 4 or 5 huge budget flops, but he gets other opportunities because he just finds the right private investors. In Canada, I guess you'd have to be Canadian first, though, right? Like that's another interesting thing. There's just not as much water introduced to. We have a bit more of a stagnant pond, I think, in a
Don't
way.
you wonder if there's kind of a backwards arrogance, though? We don't like things that come from the States, so we refuse to learn from them. That's kind of the mentorship.
Well, who doesn't like things that come from the
Talking about
States?
mentorship, you know, that we don't ask for mentorship
But if
from
you
the
look at
States.
some of the
Yeah.
stuff that's coming like at HBO or some of those other places, like some of those dramas are really like there's incredible stuff. I'm not necessarily like I don't love something or hate it just because of its point of origin, right?
Yeah,
like there
sure,
is.
sure.
There's a great little independent Canadian film called Just Buried that came out like a couple years back, and it's so funny. And in a sense, it's like it's that quirky brand of like Michael, Sarah, and what's her face, Hard Candy. What's
Yeah,
her face?
Ellen Page.
There we go.
Yeah.
That we are exporting, and
Yeah.
it was that. It was like that condensed and like clever and funny and a little bit awkward and totally pointing to itself, being like, yeah, I'm the redheaded stepchild, but it was great. But yeah, I don't know where to find this money. Do you think that it's just because people like there clearly is money somewhere?
Yeah.
Do you think it's because people just won't invest it? Do you think that we don't love our arts and culture enough?
I think
like,
you gotta get money back.
No, I think honestly that we don't have a culture of it. It's a culture, you know. There are people, like there's probably there's probably bars you can go to where there's dudes sitting around and they're all the dudes that invest in films or whatever, right? In the States, but not in Canada. We don't have a culture, maybe because we have such strong arts funding, which I would never slag. I actually really love our granting systems, and I think that they are quite accountable, and if you suck, you don't get grants.
Yeah.
Right. More, like you don't get more than one, right? And I think that they're juries of their peers, they're people who really care about the industries that they're in and have a lot of knowledge. So I do think the granting system is valid, but I think maybe a lot of private investors look at things and go, you know what, we've got a strong arts funding, we'll just let that take care of it. And we haven't built that secondary culture of rich dudes and ladies with cash who are going to go, you know what, I like their luck. I'm going to give them the money they need to market the shit out of that film. Because that film that you're talking about probably would, well, the only thing it needed was a really strong marketing push. If it was, you know, like, I mean, things live and die on marketing.
Right.
Yeah.
Once they're completed.
But they live and die even more by ticket sales. Like you have to, you don't get investors unless the investors see a return on the money they put in. And people don't go to see Canadian films.
But I would say,
They
I would
don't,
say that
you know.
kind of-
That's our own
We
inferiority.
need to build that as a,
Yeah.
we need to build that audience. We need to tell people, hey, you're so proud of being Canadian that you feel really stoked when you see that I am Canadian commercial.
Right.
Translate that.
Yeah.
Take it not just to sport, because we do have strong like pride in Canadian sport, but like translate that to theater. Don't feel like theater is just a highbrow thing. Don't feel like Canadian films are just depressing and highbrow. Like it's not inevitable, right? And I think maybe we just need to build that culture.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
Sorry,
exists in ballet. No. Thank you. I think that world
great.
exists in the
You're
ballet
right.
world.
Yes.
Patrons and you'll see in the program that like so and so, you know, their position in the company is made possible by a specific sponsorship by all this
That's an
program.
It's kind of like an athlete being sponsored by Nike. Like we need to kind of cultivate that, right?
Right.
It's pretty much the same thing, right?
You know, for Tom Connors, one Canadian that didn't have to go to the States.
But he's
Yes.
not noticed that
Tom Connors?
Music, you're right. That's true. You know, it's true.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
we need to take a page out of the music industry.
Yes.
Look at all theater stage. Jim, comment?
Yeah, quick one. It seems to be we're getting a little bit more political the more that we talk about this. It's really interesting because I've always thought that as someone that works in the arts, but also as one of my quote unquote side jobs, I worked with Elections Canada for a number of the, and I found that if you think about it, representationally, we as Torontonians have the least say about who gets into government, who gets into office, because it's not by population. So I wondered if you guys have considered the idea that perhaps where the government funding that's going, as you mentioned, you know, the cash is where what gets created gets created. We as Torontonians in urban centers actually have a huge amount of control. How does that translate into what gets made in terms of our voice, our vision, what we want to see, what we want to watch, what we want to consume? I made a flippant comment earlier about canoes and whatnot.
Yeah.
But those are the people that actually get the funding.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it,
It's true.
proportionally, representationally, it's not equal.
Right.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely true.
I
That's
don't know.
that's a
It's
written. Yeah.
really
That's like
It goes
a.
all the way back to the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I know how to answer that.
Yeah.
Did you?
It's like the big.
Sorry, I just
Yeah.
want to apologize for
Okay.
those things that I said. Okay, I didn't
Okay, thank you.
actually mean any of it, and it was really unfair to call actors sluts.
Thank you.
like, what is a slut anyway, right? Like someone enjoying their sexuality. I see nothing wrong with that. Like I think we should all embrace that attitude.
Sure.
Like actors can also be very pleasantly sociable and very friendly and charming. Also needy. Like they can at times seem quite like confident, right, and driven and motivated, even though they're really insecure and jealous.
Okay.
Sorry. Look, I'm really like I'm not like trying to offend you. Like I'm really trying to apologize.
Okay then.
Like I'm really sorry if I offended you.
Okay,
like
that's fine.
I
That's fine.
really like I shouldn't have said those things.
It's
It was
fine.
really rude and impolite. I'm
It's
really
fine.
He
I'm
said
really
it's fine.
sorry.
He said it's fine.
Don't worry about it.
It's fine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay. Shall we move on to another question?
Yeah. Yeah, things are getting very interesting.
They are getting very
Very
interesting.
good thoughts and comments.
Are
Okay.
these your own clothes or are they costumes?
Wait, why?
I don't know. It's
Yeah, I got them.
Somehow I saw your shoes when you walked on, and I was like, I wonder if those are really their shoes or
These-
if it's a costume.
I can say unequivocally that these are all my own clothes. Even these socks. My uncle gave me these.
These are all my own clothes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I'm checking. I'm like,
This is the first time I've-
I'm going through the inventory. I'm like, mine.
Yep. These were gifts too. I got those for free.
The shoes?
Yeah.
They're nice shoes.
Thank you.
That's such a funny question.
Brown paper packages tied up with strings. These are a few of my favorite things. I was never trained as a singer, but it's something in my bag of tricks.
Okay.
Cream colored ponies and crisp apple strudels. Doorbells and sleigh bells and schnitzel with noodles. Wild geese that fly with balloons on their wings. These are a few of my favorite things. Just like dog bites when the bee stings. When I'm feeling sad, I simply remember my favorite things, and then I don't feel so bad.
Cool. Thank you. Wow. Beautiful voice. My God. If you were meant for the
Thank you.
stage, I feel like you should be up here with us.
Oh my God! Yes, do you think so? Wow.
that's okay.
That would be amazing.
No, we don't really have a third
Oh my
spot
God,
for you,
no,
so
I
you can
think,
just.
I think it's a really good idea.
No, that's okay.
Wow, so cool. So, hi. Can't really see you guys anymore. My name is Miranda Calderon, and well, I've worked in film and TV and theater for 10 years actually, and we're
Yeah, no,
just
sure.
here to give you the opportunity to find out more about us.
That's what we're here for.
Do you guys have any questions? Yeah?
If you had somebody who could actually write you a role, what would you want to play most?
Like a made-up role?
Yeah, anything.
Well, I think I probably, first of all, want to be in a movie. I'm really into that right now. And, not the role that I wrote. Like, I wrote the role in my movie, right? That, weirdly, like, wasn't actually the role that I would probably most want to play, because I was kind of playing myself, I guess, because it was based on a true story. But I kind of like to play, like, I actually really like to play, like, just kind of like, I don't know, drug addict or something. Yeah, I kind of really like those roles. Yeah, I don't know, some kind of problem or something. I find this really fun. I like drama a lot. And yeah, I'd want to be the lead, I guess. Yeah, does anyone else have any questions? Go ahead, you can ask me anything. Yeah?
What was the last acting gig you had?
Okay, today is
Yeah, today is January.
Sorry, I mean today. Anyway, the month is January.
Yeah.
Oh God, it's starting February. Oh my God, I need that. I really need that.
It's 2013 also.
Yeah. Check your calendar. It's maybe over by your.
Shoot, what was the last actually? Oh no. Actually, I just shot a commercial, which like isn't like obviously what I like dream to do, but it was actually a really funny commercial because it was about farting. It was really funny. It was I don't know if I'm supposed to tell this because it hasn't aired yet, but whatever. I didn't like sign anything. Yeah, so it was about social farting. Which is kind of like the best commercial ever to audition for. But I didn't get like the main farter. I know this sounds really weird. Okay, so this is for the Ministry of Health, and they're comparing social farting to social smoking. So they're trying to discourage people from social smoking. So they're trying to make it seem really silly, and so that's why they had like the social farting. So I was one of the fart friends. That's like.
Okay, it's not War and Peace. It was commercial. You went out for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was my last acting gig, but I don't like aspire to do commercials or anything. Yeah. Anyone else? Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
I just want to know what brought you and actually anybody else here.
Well, I
had to be here.
Oh, sorry, were you?
No, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I figured that they had to be here, so yeah. What brought you here, and then what anybody else? Because,
Well,
like,
okay, to
Why
tell
don't we
you
do
the
this
truth,
one by
like,
one?
I really wanted to be on the panel, but I don't know. So.
You came because you wanted to be on the
Yeah, what?
Well, I didn't like expect this, obviously, but like I said, I was like I knew I wanted to like I submitted for this and I thought it would be really cool to be on a panel and so I guess it was just that thing where like you go and like see what people but yeah, so anyway I'm here and it's really like I got to be on the panel. So
Man, you're succinct.
yeah, but yeah. So thanks for inviting me up on the panel.
Okay.
It's pretty fun to answer questions. Does anyone else have any questions? Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Oh, did you want like everyone in the
I
audience?
totally did. Yeah. If they want to.
Oh.
You came for supper.
And we ended up watching the show.
Oh, that's interesting.
I also came from Leonard and I just went to town.
Okay. Welcome. Welcome to town. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And Torontonians are so much nicer than everyone else in Ontario.
I agree. You're right about that.
I'm not really a Toronto.
Does anyone have any more questions for me, or you guys still answering? Oh, is there a question in the back?
Well, I just don't want to, be asking all the questions, but I was just wondering if, when you're doing a play, sometimes people like to goof around or like do things backstage to throw you off because they get bored. I don't know, just how do you feel about that when other performers are doing things like that?
I don't think that's cool if people are like doing stuff to throw you off. I think that's cool if like an actor does something maybe a little different to like add to the scene, but I don't think it's like team playing. Like you were saying, you're really good like ensemble member. I think it's cool to do different stuff every night, right? But like not to the detriment of your other actors because then like the show's not gonna be as good.
I want to
so.
hear what Scott has to say about it, if that's okay.
There we go.
I was just gonna say,
Well,
I think there's a time and a place for it.
Well, it was never like a time for throwing another actor off, obviously. But
Stephanie? Thank you. Well, so I like to like mess around with my fellow actors on stage, but not when we're on stage. So
yeah, like it's
right
totally fun to
before-
be like some actors like okay, so I just want to say something like some actors
okay, some actors like to be in the zone before they go on stage, and that's totally. I think it's completely like an individual thing, and some actors like will be like telling a joke and goofing off before they get on stage. And I guess I don't know. I think either of those is fine. But like
Stephanie?
personally, like, well, hold on. Okay, so like personally, I think that
program, you know.
I think that actually, like, in order to be employable for an actor, like, I know we're talking about actors here, but like, you actually have to have like other performance skills, you know, like take me for example, like I've done like viewpoints, like it's kind of improvisation. I don't know if you know what that is, but I've done puppetry. I've done le coq. And but like I also have extensive training in dance, right? Like I've done hip hop, ballet, modern jazz, African, so I'm very versatile. Like you are too, right, Stephanie?
You want to hear what Stephanie? Yes, I trained as a dancer before training as an actor.
Me too. Actually, I'm mad amazing at limbo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my god, I could totally show you guys.
Yeah.
No.
You find your spot again there.
I just need something to use as a limbo. Do you guys have any I can use as like a limbo thing? No, this is like
I
really
can't
fun.
believe
Yeah, anything, but thank you very much for
Hold on, no, this is okay.
Don't.
No, you guys, this is, if you don't understand, like, I'm really good at the limbo. Okay, so, here, was someone, like, you guys hold this?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Does anyone wanna hold the limbo? And, like, I promise you guys will really enjoy seeing me do this, because I'm
I have a question.
Will you hold one side?
No.
Will you guys,
Could I ask
you guys
a
hold
different question?
Okay. No, you guys, I don't understand. Like, I really. You gotta hold one of the sides. For you guys.
Can I ask you a question?
Okay, but first, okay, you know what? I promise I'll answer your questions, but like, I really want to show you guys a little because I promise, like, you don't understand. Like, I'm really good.
Okay, one limbo. One single limbo, and then you sit down.
Thank you. I got okay.
Why are you doing this?
Because I want to go out
See how low she can go.
Okay, so now, okay, so now, no, you guys have to come up on stage.
Oh, no,
because it's like not in the light, you're not gonna sing. Just take turns. Okay, wait, first, I just need, you guys can't hear me. I just need a challenger. Does anyone want to?
Oh, me, I'm really good at limbo.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Okay, you're on.
Tell us about yourself.
Okay. No, you guys just get up because you guys have to come on the stage. I have to do it in the light. Stephanie, okay. Okay. Sorry. Okay.
Oh my god.
Okay. So, are you gonna challenge me? Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay. So you guys have to you guys like sing? No. So I think it'll be like something really easy. Like what